Recruiting is probably the second biggest topic we hear about. Every player wants to play at the next level, and parents wants to do everything they can to get them there.
The challenge is that recruiting has changed so much. Between the transfer portal, social media, showcases, and roster limits, the process looks completely different than it did even 5 years ago.
That transfer portal. I feel for these kids so much,
No,
especially these high school kids.
yeah,
That transfer portal is a monster. Like I don't, and it's it's one thing to be a former player that came from it, and you can kind of teach the ins and outs from a development standpoint or what to look at certain tournaments. Like that stuff is easy. But when you're trying to discuss something that you never had to deal with as a player, that's one of the biggest challenges I think as a coach, especially when you have those older teams. We were fortunate. We had a 17U team about 2 years ago now. We had 14 kids, and all 14 kids had an opportunity to play at the next level. And I think 13 out of 14 ended up playing college baseball, and one plays club ball. But I told them all the time, like, look, man, I feel for you. There are 5,000 kids in the transfer portal before you even step foot on the field on the weekend for a travel ball tournament.
yeah,
Like that's a different beast to compete with. Not only is it 5,000 other people, but it's 5,000 people that have the innings under their belt, have the at bats, the defensive appearances. They have all of that under their belt already.
mhm,
And that's probably a big reason why you see a lot of those Power Five to mid-major coaches, shopping out of that portal. Those are kids that I don't have to hold their hand necessarily on day one when they get to school.
mhm,
They
yeah,
kind of already they have a familiarity with how college baseball works and what it takes to be successful at this level. It takes a lot of time and really effort away from the coaches. So now I don't have to, segment 20 or 30 minutes to go through this drill.
mhm,
They've already done this drill for a year now. And
yeah,
it's just easier from a coaching standpoint to recruit a player of that caliber, because you're already running into the limit of practice days that you have.
I definitely agree with what you said. I think a lot of those kids now, and God knows how many kids now are not even getting an opportunity to go play, not just at the D1 level, but
Yeah,
any level.
yeah,
Like, because there's talent at each level. But like you said, with so many kids now just being able to go in the portal, I'm sure it's hard for the coaches too.
for sure.
I think it does take away a lot of opportunities for some kids. I know if it was today and I was coming out of high school, there ain't no way I would have went to NCAA. There ain't no way. I mean, I was 6 foot, 170 pounds
Yeah,
out of high school, throwing 86, 87.
yeah,
They probably want to look my way.
yeah, man. It's tough.
It,
That same goes for me, for sure.
it's tough.
Yeah,
Like, which like when we were, coming out of high school, that was pretty good.
yeah,
But
yeah.
now when they can go get that guy, like you said, with 50 innings under his belt,
Hmm.
you've seen him up to 94, 95,
Yep,
you know what you're getting.
yep.
So, yeah, it's definitely hard.
It's a challenge for sure. I think, you know, while it has its disadvantages, I would say one big advantage of the transfer portal is, it's kind of getting to a point to where it's evening out not only the mid majors, but the other divisions. Like you'll have a lot of guys that, maybe you have a kid that was on the cusp of being like a low D1 to a mid major that now is not getting those looks. So they might fall to either JUCO or Division two. So that's just making that level, a lot better than what it was previously. But, to the point you made earlier, there's good baseball everywhere. Everywhere, at every division. There's good baseball at JUCO all the way down to D3. There's a good amount of JUCO teams that would probably beat your favorite D1 team when it came to a series.
Absolutely.
It's like, and I think that's the biggest thing that kids kind of misunderstand. It's like this whole D1 or bust attitude. And it's just the game is not there anymore. And it's kind of a disrespect to the other coaches and programs at other divisions that carry themselves the right way and deserve to be at that same tier of respect as their peers. Like especially JUCO baseball. JUCO baseball is probably the best it's been since the transfer portal became a prominent thing in college baseball. Like you'll have those teams that are, again, the Carolina commits, the LSU commits, even the UNC Wilmington, that could play at those programs, but now they go to a JUCO, and it opens up their opportunity so much more once they get to JUCO, because I'm not tied to this institution for 4 years. You know what I'm saying? I get my 1 or 2 years, and now the recruiting, it's kind of like you get another chance at the recruiting phase. Now you're really understanding, okay, I've had success here. This is what I need to continue my success. If there's certain things that you didn't like about your JUCO or whatever, then it's like, okay, maybe I start looking for institutions that kind of have that, whether it be the analytics or an interested major that you're looking for, or anything like that, or being closer to home. I think JUCO offers a great opportunity for these kids to get the most that they can out of their college careers.
Yeah, for sure. Also, the JUCO too, that is some of the purest form of baseball. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
They don't get a lot of the things that one guy get. Those kids have to grind.
Oh, yeah.
To get to where they want to go.
Absolutely.
I always had so much respect for those kids that came from those schools, because like I said, they've been through it.
Yeah.
And a lot of them they can play some ball.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many kids get caught up in, the whole D1 or bust thing. There's been countless guys that have been to programs.
Absolutely. Our former teammates, one of them, Austin Warren.
Yeah,
Wake Tech guy. He's 5'8", 5'9", probably 140 pounds. When he was at Wake Tech, came to Wilmington, worked his tail off, and he was a frontline arm in the bullpen, like one of the best closers and late relievers in the country.
Yeah.
And now he's playing with the Mets.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
One
so, like,
best relievers in the big leagues.
Yep. And it just goes to show, like, if his attitude was D1 or bust, we might not have ever played with him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's a major league arm.
Yep.
So it's really understanding, like, I think players and parents, you have to be realistic about your playing level. Where do you see yourself playing? And it needs to be less of, oh, this is my dream school. And instead, it needs to be more of, okay, I think I can make an impact for this program or for this institution day one when I get on campus. That's the goal.
Yep.
Now, anything can happen. You can get on campus and you get injured, or, academic probation or whatever the case may be. You might not like where you are at the end of the season, but at least you put yourself in the right place from the start. You're giving yourself an opportunity to make an impact as soon as you get on campus. That is the biggest thing.
Yeah. I think that was really one of the biggest things for me when I came on my visit to Wilmington
Yeah.
was hearing that from Coach Williams, and he was just honest with me. He was like, look,
Mm-hmm.
we've got some guys. He's like, I'm not promising you anything,
Yep.
but we see what you can do. You come in, you work hard, you buy in. He's like, by the time your freshman year is over, we can see you throwing anything.
Yep.
And it was just like he didn't promise me anything.
Yep.
I knew I had a chance, but I also knew that I had to work for it. And
Mm-hmm.
that was really what sold me right
I think we also want to make room to, give advice for players that are looking to compete at the next level, like understanding, how to showcase yourself, whether it be the teams you're playing on or what you're doing on your own time. It seems like social media has become like a really big um, pipeline for these coaches to follow when they're recruiting players. So, having most important thing, if you have social media, you need to make sure that whatever you put on social media, your parents would be okay with you saying or doing in front of them. I will say that again. Whatever you put on social media, your parents need to be okay with you doing or saying those same things in front of them. If what you're putting on social media doesn't represent that, then it's probably a good idea to remove it.
there.
Because now, you never know what the recruiting landscape could look like. It could be splitting hairs between player A and player B. You know, they could be even in talent. They could be, they could be even as far as what their projectability is, or where the coach sees them at their program. But if player A carries himself the right way on social media, that's probably what the coach is going to lean a little more towards if player B doesn't do the same things. And the reason is it's not to be nitpicky, is you got to understand, like, once you play at the next level, you're not only representing your family, you're representing that program. So if you're committed to any school and you can't carry yourself the right way on social media, it looks bad on you, and it looks bad on the coaches and the organization or program that took a chance on giving you that opportunity. So that's a really big thing, really big thing.
They check it a lot more than
Oh yeah, that's you can't run into that liability as a coach.
it can hurt you and also help you.
Yep.
Like like I said, man, social media is so big now. Like it's very important that not only with just what you post, but if you're trying to find somewhere to play,
Hmm.
having video, posting video, sending videos to coaches,
Yep.
that type of stuff. Like being seen, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Coaches look at that stuff too.
Hmm. And knowing the right videos to post. Those are the biggest things. Like, a kid posting a video of him hitting off the tee, like, yeah, the coach can check your form, your mechanics, how well it looks like the ball is jumping off the barrel, but it's on a tee. Like, you're not hitting on a tee in college when it's game time. So really getting your live visuals, whether you're playing in a tournament or you're in an inter squad, or even your coaches throwing overhand BP, those things are a lot more important than, just showing what you can do on front toss or off of a tee. Um, having those type of videos offensively, defensively, videos of you getting reps from your position. Um, those are huge. Your form on how you come through the ball as an infielder and outfielder, whether you can throw through the cutoff man, or how many hops it takes you to get to the base. Those are also important as well. As an outfielder, I know when we were at Wilmington, um, Coach Hood and Coach Scav would preach to the outfielders, hey, we want a one hop. We want a long one hop. I don't care how good your arm is. I know you can throw it over the batter's eye, but we want a long one hop. And the reason that is, it gets to the base quicker. And so when you're getting into that bang bang situation, that long one hop could be the difference between you getting that runner out or that runner reaching the next base. Um, and when you're pitching, the side views are always good, just to understand how your body moves and how you're working down the mound and how your arm works. But getting a full view from the side and from either behind the catcher or behind the pitcher to kind of see the shapes of your pitches and how the course of your bullpen goes. But we're also getting to a point where everything is analytical. So, it just you hitting live, either off a player or off your coach or just throwing a bullpen, may not do it for certain coaches. So also being mindful of, investing in, either a pocket radar or going to a nearby facility that can track your metrics that you can send off to coaches. Those things are important as well. They're not the end all be all, but again, and when you're talking about splitting hairs, having those analytics offensively and defensively can really put players in the right position and help them find, not only a place at the next level, but a place that's right for them. Analytics are great. Don't get me wrong. And keep in mind, like you're talking to someone that has a master's in data analytics and a former pro athlete that had a lot of his meetings being discussed around analytics. It's not something to throw to the wayside, but understanding it's not the end all be all. At the end of the day, if you can play, you can play. If you're a pitcher, can you get outs? If you're a hitter, can you consistently find the barrel with multiple pitches? And can you consistently get on base or drive runners in? If you can check the box on each one of those, there's probably a good chance you'll still play college baseball. The analytics help. I haven't met a coach yet that has invested in analytics over what players are actually doing on the field, right? Like throwing 100 is great, but if you can't locate it, it really doesn't mean much. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's another thing that when you're getting recruited, especially as a pitcher, yeah, I mean, I'd be lying to tell you your velo doesn't matter. It matters. But having pitch ability is what gets you that opportunity at the next level and keeps you in a position, to always be one of those reliable arms at the next level. Like being able, Coach Myers said it a lot. You got to have more than one pitch. You got to have 3 pitches in the zone. If you have 3 pitches in the zone, you can compete with anybody in the country. Doesn't matter what your velo looks like. But if you're throwing 100 and you don't have a changeup and you don't have a curveball, pitching's probably not for you.
At some point, you go 100. You get to a high enough level.
Mm-hmm.
Guys that can hit that.
Yep.
With a lot of people.
Yeah.
100 is in a lot.
Yeah.
Especially the pitching side. From a young age, a lot of those pitchability has kind of gone out.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of kids that can actually pitch.
Yep.
Like, there's a lot of throwers.
Yes.
These days. A lot of throwers.
Yep.
But a guy can't come tell you why he threw this pitch to this batter.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it can't be like, okay, well, I saw this guy was late on the fastball.
Yep.
So I threw another fastball. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. That's it.
It's something that simple.
Yeah.
They don't know how to sequence guys.
No.
They don't know how to read swings. None of that type of stuff. They don't know how to take previous at bats. What a batter did to them that bat before.
Mm-hmm.
And take it to the next at bat.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to do that stuff.
Yep.
They don't know how to navigate a lineup. So
Yep.
when you might have established inside corner first time through with your fastball, had success. Now you come second time around, they're jumping on first pitch fastball.
Yeah.
They don't know how to make things.
Yep. Those things are important, man. They're important. Like especially as a pitcher, like understanding all of those things, like understanding how to control the running game, understanding how to read swings to your point. If I just blew a fastball by a guy, it's probably not a good idea to throw him something that can speed his barrel up. You know what I'm saying? But also being able to get to a point to where you can throw maybe not everyone, but at least 2 to 3 of your pitches in any count that you want to throw them in. That's pitchability. Like anybody can get up there and land an off-speed pitch, but can you do it with runners on? Can you do it in a hitter's count? What's the difference between the get me over and the put away? You know what I'm saying? Like those little things right there, they help not only for your growth as a player, but it sticks out to a coach because it's less teaching that they have to do once you get to them. You know what I'm saying? If the coach comes to your games and he sees you know how to control the running game, he sees that you know which bases to back up at each situation. He sees, if you're calling your own game or if the catcher's calling it, he sees that you understand, who's in the box and what pitch they should be given in each time. Those things are huge for a pitcher. And then, for a hitter, the biggest thing that I see is this whole launch angle mentality. Kids see Aaron Judge doing drills and hitting in a cage, and then they want to replicate that. Okay, well, Aaron Judge is 6'8", 250. Your kid's probably not 6'8", 250. Probably not. Probably not. If he is, by all means, do whatever Aaron Judge does, you got it. But there's a good chance that 99.9% of those kids that are watching Aaron Judge don't look anything like Aaron Judge. You have to use everything that you've been given, not try to replicate what you see from other players. You know what I'm saying? So the biggest things that you'll find between the Aaron Judges and the Jose Altuves, like there's certain points that they get to right at their power position or right before their power position that are similar. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to stay inside the baseball, right? Everybody's got to get their foot down in order to recognize where the pitch is and what pitch is being delivered. Like those things are consistent regardless of if you're 5'8" or if you're 6'5". Like if you haven't honed in on those things, then you don't need to be watching the videos of Altuve and Ohtani. Like you need to understand the basics. Understanding, okay, when the pitcher gets to his peak or when he gets to release, I probably need to have my foot down. Especially with the higher velo guys, sometimes you probably would get it down earlier. For the lower velo guys, I have a little more time. I can kind of wait later in his delivery to kind of start my motion. But the analytics for those hitting videos are important as well. Your exit velo, your bat angle, preferably 3-to-1 walk to strikeout ratio, especially as a hitter.
Yeah, he's a pitcher too. And his first pitch strike percentage.
Yep.
Most important pitch is strike one.
Mm-hmm.
Averages between 0-1 and 1-0. It is drastically different.
Yep.
Like that's important. Your end zone percentage, your swing and miss percentage, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think just from a basic standpoint, for kids, for 13, 14 is you can measure their first pitch, right?
Yep.
And if that's low, that's something they should work on. Or how many, you might not really see as many, but how many counts you got from 0-2 to 2-2? I think you can take the analytics stuff and you can really simplify it for kids to be beneficial versus just chasing velocity.
Absolutely.
Chasing the exit.
Yep.
where you can still have that development in a healthy way.
I agree. Understanding how to showcase yourself. You're having there's nothing wrong with creating a Twitter page or an X page strictly to your recruiting, or an Instagram page, Facebook page. Like, those things are huge, but making sure you're representing yourself the right way outside of the stuff that you're offering to these other coaches are the biggest things. Um, you know, I tell my guys all the time, hey, if you don't have a Twitter page, make one. Doesn't matter if you tweet or not. Put your videos on there. Even practice videos are important because the coaches want to see how you behave throughout the week. So it's easy to turn it on when game time is there. But, what are you doing throughout the week? Are you taking your reps seriously? Are you still, giving 100% in practice, the same percentage that you would give in the game? If you're not doing those things, then, you're probably behind the 8 ball, usually.
I think another part about a showcase is so many kids don't realize this. The showcase is not only when the action is going on. When coaches are watching you, they're watching what you pull up, what you show up to the field in.
Yep.
How you dress yourself.
Yep.
What's your reaction when you strike out?
Mm-hmm.
Are you running on and off the field? All that type of stuff. Are you cheering for your teammates? They watch all that stuff. They're not just
Absolutely.
when you're hitting, when you're pitching. How are you going to react if you go up to one ball?
Yep.
And you know that they're watching you.
Yep.
They look at all that type of stuff.
All the time. All the time, whether you know it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the biggest things, when I went through my, I guess I could say, first recruiting phase, when I was at App, that's what the head coach says. We've seen you play so many times. We know you come from a good family. We know you come from a good organization. But the biggest thing that stood out to us is what other coaches said about you. And the biggest thing that they mentioned consistently was, you never know what the score is when he's on the mound. You don't know if they're up by 10, down by 10. He doesn't show it. So, like, that body language is the most important, at least one of the most important things if you're trying to get recruited. The coach is not an idiot. He knows he could very well come there and you might go 0 for 3. But how'd you go 0 for 3, right? If you went down looking 3 times, did you throw your helmet when you came back in? Did you talk to the guy on deck to let him know what you saw? Like, were you right back on the fence after you got out, or were you sitting on the bench and pouting? You know what I'm saying? And it goes for pitchers as well, because you're not going to have your best stuff every time you get on the mound, right? Sometimes it takes those guys behind you to pick you up. It takes that.
All the time, most days, you're not going to have
your best stuff.
Yep. I think a coach would probably, if he comes and watch you on a day where you might have your C stuff, you fight through it, you get 5, 6 innings.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's gonna like that a lot more than somebody with their come in with their A stuff. One thing goes bad.
Yep.
And the next thing you know, he's on a lot of sports.
Having good body language, and we touched on it earlier, being coachable. Those are the 2 things that a recruiter is going to see without talking to anyone. Those are the easiest things to pick up. And you'd be surprised at how many kids miss their opportunities at certain institutions because one coach saw them, respond in a negative way. It only takes one time. And it's not to say you have to be perfect, and it's not to say you have to be happy about striking out or having a bad outing, but there's still a goal at hand, right? That everybody didn't come there just for one player. It takes a team to reach that goal. So if I don't have my best stuff that day, okay, then now it's time to get on Z's back and make sure that he knows he has the support from me. We've both kind of been through it in our careers a little bit. And I went it for me personally. I started off at App. I worked hard to be a weekend starter there, and then we didn't have a transfer portal, so I went to Wilmington, had to sit out for a year. And that first year at Wilmington, I threw 11 innings. from throwing 77 my freshman year. Like, that's a big gap. And it wasn't because I wasn't necessarily getting opportunities. It's just I wasn't making the most of my opportunities. So it was really just two things that you had to think about at that point. Either I can sit there and sulk for the rest of the season, or I can find a way to be a good teammate. And usually, if you choose option B, finding a way to be a good teammate, the game will start to reward you as you move on.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. It's so easy to just live their way. You could have blamed other people.
Yep.
You could have said, you know what, maybe Wilmington isn't the place. You could have went somewhere else.
Yep.
Like you said, did the right thing, went about it the right way. And then you come back the next year, then one option out of 10.
Right.
Everybody at the highest level, from college to the pros, everybody has had to do that at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that these coaches are going to ask for are the grades. What do your transcripts look like? Because if you're not getting it done in the class, they're probably not going to invest in you to do the same things at their institutions. Like, it's just not how it works. That's not to say you have to have a 4.0. You want your GPA to be above a 2.5. That's just to get your foot in the door. You know what I'm saying? That's not to say a 4.0 is going to get you a scholarship to play baseball. But the goal is take care of what you can academically so you can enjoy whatever you want to do athletically. If you can't take care of the simple things in the classroom, there's not going to be many coaches looking to give you an opportunity at the next level.
It's a trust thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coaches can't trust you, but coaches will do off the field.
Mm-hmm. They're not going to trust you on the field. They're not going to trust you on the field.
If I can't trust you when you're not with me,
yeah,
why would I give you the opportunity to come and try to help me win?
Out of all the things we named, those are well above what you can do physically. Now the talent comes into place, right? How strong are you? What's your exit velo like? What's your velo like off the mound? How well do you move as an infielder? How well do you move as an outfielder? Having baseball IQ and understanding what to do on the bases. It's little stuff like that you don't think about as a player, but if you learn that in an early age, it just helps you out so much more when it's time for you to get recruited. Because again, now that's one less thing that the coach has to teach you when you get to their program.
Your work ethic, that type of stuff, ultimately, that's going to translate to how you're going to work on the field.
Yep.
Practice, workout,
yep.
Stuff. That stuff, it goes hand in hand.
Absolutely.
You can't just think, I'll be lazy here and then expect to work hard on the field. Very few people that can
absolutely
do that. For the most part, you can usually tell the kid works hard in the classroom, how they treat their parents, all that type of stuff.
Yes.
You can usually tell what you do.
Yes. Absolutely. And that's another thing that I want to touch on, how you treat your parents. To something you said earlier, those coaches are looking from the time you get out of the car to the time you get back into the car. So if you're walking up to the field and you're anywhere above 14, maybe even 13 years old, and mom and dad are still holding your bag, that's not a good look. That's not a good look. That's not a good look. You have two hands, son. There's nothing you should be carrying to where you cannot carry your own baseball bag.
But one thing that always kind of gets me is when kids are, 13, 14,
yeah,
out, and their parents are bringing Gatorade.
Oh my goodness.
Water, bringing snacks, and I'm like, hey, bro, you ain't got a lunchbox? Like, does your mom bring you lunch every day to school?
It's crazy.
Pack something.
Just pack something.
Pack something. It's just being accountable.
Yeah.
That's all it does. One of the most important things.
Especially when you get into those older levels of baseball, like, it really doesn't look good. It really doesn't look good. Because to your point, that tells me your accountability is probably low. Your your focus and preparation is probably low. That could also go into my decision making when I'm deciding if I'm putting money into you to play for my program.
Mhm.
Like those are things that are easy.
Yeah.
If you can't figure out the easy things, it's an uphill battle. When you're looking at being seen, camps are always a good place to be seen. When any college hosts a camp at their university, those are really good, really good events for athletes to join, especially if you're looking to get recruited. Because not only you get everything all at once, you have all the coaches there to observe you and the way that you prospect yourself, and then you also get to see the campus. And you might not get to see what campus life looks like, but you get familiar with the things that you would be doing if you decided to go there.
Yeah.
So the camps are huge, especially if that university is hosting it. Travel ball, of course, puts you on a pedestal a little bit to be seen by multiple coaches at once. And then other than that, I would say, showcasing yourself on social media. Those things are huge. Twitter, Instagram, making sure your name's in the bio, your position, your graduating class, whatever school or travel ball team you play with, as well as some metrics about yourself. Those things are huge when you're looking to showcase yourself on social media. So before we wrap up, we want to thank everyone for tuning in to our very first episode of Behind the Scenes.
Our goal with this podcast is simple: to bring you the stories, strategies, and truths hidden behind the box score. Whether you're a player, parent, coach, or fan, we want this to be a place where you can learn, grow, and gain a deeper understanding of the game we all love.
And remember, success isn't built in the spotlight, it's built behind the scenes.